You're gonna get cited just for the defective equipment, okay? Just the license plate light. Here's your license back. Would you mind just rolling down your window just a little bit more so I can press you the citation? Okay. You can have a court date. It's gonna be January 31st. I scratched out 18 because it's 19 now. Gotta get used to it. You can have a court date. It's gonna be at $9,600 between these times right here or these times right here, okay? Signing is not an admission of goods. Just promising you're gonna appear in court or take care of it, okay? Change your signature at the very top, please.
Could I ask one question before I sign? Did you put the statute number on there?
No, I did not.
Would you mind doing that for me?
I don't have to, sir.
I believe the Sixth Amendment allows me to have proper notice of charges.
And I'm giving you the proper notice. Defective equipment license plate, okay? It's transportation code.
All I'm asking for is the actual statute number.
Okay, you can get that once you leave here. You can get that with the judge, but I'm giving you what the exact violation is. I don't have to give you the exact transportation code. Okay, I'm giving you the court date. I'm giving you the location, the times. Again, signing is not a promise of guilt. You're promising you're guilty. It's just promising you're going to appear in court.
Oh, sorry. I understand 95% of what you said, but I do disagree. I believe that the Sixth Amendment requires that you notify me which statute I've triggered a violation of.
Okay, and I already let you know what it was, sir. It's a transportation code, defective equipment, license plate light. Your license plate has to be visible at more than 50 feet. It's not even illuminated, so obviously it's not visible.
I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is that when you say transportation code, I would like you to write down in there which exact statute I've triggered a violation of.
That's fine. I'm not going to do that for you right now, okay, sir?
No?
I've done enough what I need to do. Just need your signature at the very top, okay?
Are you aware of the Sixth Amendment?
Yes, sir. I am aware of the Sixth Amendment.
Okay, because the proper notice is required.
Okay, I am giving you proper notice, sir.
I disagree,
Okay?
but...
The courts will give you the actual everything once they send you the violation and everything like that, once you meet with the judge, okay?
All right.
Welcome to Unit 4 of the Texas Basic Peace Officer course. In this section, we're going to discuss the origins of the U.S. Constitution. The new U.S. Constitution began on September 17, 1787. That's when a convention of delegates from 12 states, all of them except Rhode Island, proposed a new constitution to the people through the Continental Congress for ratification. The colonists rebelled because the English king, this guy, George III, refused to them all of their historic rights as free English citizens. Americans, before the Revolution, believed that the law was superior to any government, even the king's, and they wanted to secure those rights for their future. Now, specific ideas and content of the Constitution can be traced back more than 10 years to September of 1774. In September of 1774, delegates from 12 colonies convened for the First Continental Congress and was held in Carpenter's Hall in Philadelphia. Now, during this First Continental Congress, they voiced their complaints about the English government. Now, many of their complaints would later emerge as rights afforded in the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. There were several things the colonists were upset about. The first thing they petitioned England for was their right to life, liberty, and property. Basically, to provide for themselves and their families without any government interference. They were also not happy about the lack of right to trial by jury. This is a colonial courtroom and it looked very different from our courtrooms today. The right to trial by jury would be so important to the colonists that it would be established in the original text of the Constitution. It wouldn't have to wait for the Bill of Rights. Next, the colonists wanted the right to peaceably assemble and have the government consider their grievances. There were also several other rights that they asked England for. Of course, we know how this worked out. The First Continental Congress and its lists of rights were ignored by England. Fighting broke out at Lexington and Concord soon thereafter, starting the Revolutionary War. Now, most importantly, colonists would remember how they had been treated by the English government. And they took this to the table with them when they gathered, more than 10 years later, to write the new Constitution. Have you ever tried to get a large group of people to agree on something? It's usually not very easy. In this screencast, we'll talk about the Constitutional Convention of 1787. So it's the summer of 1787 in Philadelphia. Here at Independence Hall, delegates from 12 of the 13 states gathered to meet to talk about the future of the federal government. Now, James Madison, one of our founding fathers, had expended incredible time and effort in order to get them all here. The first thing they have to do is they have to close all the windows. Now, they do this for secrecy and also because the streets surrounding Independence Hall are very loud and noisy. We know a lot about what went on here because James Madison took very thorough notes. But imagine this. We start out, it's very hot and stuffy on the inside. The delegates are all long-winded. It's nonstop arguing and debating. It's so contentious at times that many delegates threaten to walk out. In fact, at one point, the delegates from New York do walk out and go back home. Alexander Hamilton would later sign the Constitution for New York, but he was not officially a delegate. The key in this room was compromise. George Washington was there, and history records that he only spoke about twice during those long months. Carved into the top of his chair was a half sun. It was remarked that during the debates no one knew if the sun was rising or setting on the United States. It turns out it was rising in the United States. The long, hard-fought compromise Constitution was drafted and ready to be signed in September. Now, there's a problem at this point, though. There's no Bill of Rights. Some delegates start suggesting, hey, we need a Bill of Rights. But it's been 4 months. Summer of Philadelphia, it's hot, it's stuffy, they're ready to go home. Adding a Bill of Rights to the Constitution was voted down. Possibly because they were just tired and they just wanted to get it over with. But the lack of a Bill of Rights becomes a major issue among the delegates as they return home. This, along with many other contentious issues, caused a movement among some of the delegates to attempt to get the new Constitution voted down. Essentially, they want to start all over again from the beginning. Despite this opposition, that new Constitution was forwarded from the Continental Congress to the people. Delaware becomes the first state to ratify the Constitution on December 7th, 1787.
Evening, sir. You have your license and insurance.
I'm gonna reach for it.
Yeah, fine, go ahead. Where are you coming from today?
I don't answer questions.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm stopping you is because your license plate light is out, okay? You don't have the actual physical copy with you?
State law just says I have to exhibit.
Thank you, sir. Everything correct on here?
I don't answer questions.
Okay, I kind of do need to know that you still live here, though. Okay, that's part of the law that you have to reside where your license is. That's all I need to know.
Oh, the law also says that in the Fifth Amendment that I don't have to self-incriminate
Okay,
myself.
then that's fine. That's totally fine. So do you have insurance with you?
If you just flip over that paper.
Okay,
I think that actual paper there might be expired, but the policy is still good.
okay. You don't happen to have the newer one with you?
I could get it on my phone.
Yeah, if you don't mind, please. Mr. Lagergren?
Yes.
I'm going to ask, I'm sure you're going to say no. Would you be willing to provide your phone number for the citation?
915
Uh-huh.
781
Uh-huh.
4330.
4330. Okay. You're going to get cited just for the defective equipment, okay? Just the license plate light. Here's your license back. Would you mind just rolling down your window just a little bit more so I can pass you the citation? Okay. You're going to have a court date. It's going to be January 31st. I scratched out 18 because it's 19 now. Got to get used to it. You're going to have a court date. It's going to be at $9,600 between these times right here and these times right here, okay? Signing is not an admission of guilt. Just promising you're going to appear in court or take care of it, okay? Change your signature at the very top, please.
Could I ask one question before I sign? Did you put the statute number on there?
No, I did not.
Would you mind doing that for me?
I don't have to, sir.
I believe the Sixth Amendment allows me to have proper notice of charges.
And I'm giving you the proper notice. Defective equipment license plate, okay? It's transportation code.
All I'm asking for is the actual statute number.
Okay, you can get that once you leave here. You can get that with the judge, but I'm giving you what the exact violation is. I don't have to give you the exact transportation code. Okay, I'm giving you the court date. I'm giving you the location, the times. Again, signing is not a promise of guilt. That you're promising you're guilty. It's just promising you're going to appear in court.
I'm sorry. I understand 95% what you said, but I do disagree. I believe that the Sixth Amendment requires that you notify me which statute I've triggered a violation of.
Okay, and I already let you know what it was, sir. It's a transportation code, defective equipment, license plate light. Your license plate has to be visible at more than 50 feet. It's not even illuminated, so obviously it's not visible.
I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is that when you say transportation code, I would like you to write down in there which exact statute I've triggered a violation of.
That's fine. I'm not going to do that for you right now, okay, sir?
No?
I've done enough of what I need to do. Just need your signature at the very top, okay?
Are you aware of the Sixth Amendment?
Yes, sir. I am aware of the Sixth Amendment.
Okay, because the proper notice is required.
Okay, I am giving you proper notice, sir.
I disagree,
Okay?
but
The courts will give you the actual everything once they send you the violation and everything like that, once you meet with the judge, okay?
all right. Where do I sign?
At the very top, sir, right where the X is. All right. Do you have any questions for me, sir? Asked already?
Well, I guess my only other question is this retaliation for me videotaping the police?
What retaliation? So the only reason I stopped is because you were driving about 20 miles below the speed limit. My job is to look for intoxicated drivers. Okay, so that's usually a sign that you're intoxicated, not completely in itself, but sometimes. So I did follow you for a little bit. Noticed that your license plate light is. I stopped you just to make sure make you aware that your license plate light is out, and also just for my investigation to make sure you're not intoxicated. Okay, this is what I'm doing.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's a copy of your citation. Wherever you're going, get there safe. Okay, sir.
One last question.
Yes,
what is your name and badge number?
It's going to be on there, Officer Puentes. Okay, and my badge number is right next to it. Okay.
Would you mind saying it?
It's 2845, sir.
2845.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Wherever you're
service.
going, drive safe, sir.
Yep.
So that's going to be the statute, sir. 552.005. Okay?
Okay.
That's it from you, sir.
Actually, officer, if you don't mind, since Officer Mendoza didn't put my statute number on my citation, I would like to request that you do. Or some officer does.
No, I just put the, I put on the letters. This is going to be the citation. Crossing where prohibited.
Yes, I
And
understand,
that's
but
what it is.
this section
I
here,
just told you, we're not required to put it in there.
oh, you're not?
No.
Because wouldn't that be a form of notice for a person who's alleged of a crime, that they would be notified of the entire statute that they're alleged of violating?
As a Texas citizen, according to the Code of Criminal Procedure, you have the right to demand the nature and cause of the accusation. In other words, to know what you are being charged with. According to the Code of Criminal Procedure, you also have a right to have a copy of the written charges.
No, and you can dispute that in court
Okay.
if you want to, okay?
Well,
You have a great night, sir.
I didn't mean to offend you by this.
But thank you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you for your service, officer.
You're welcome, sir.
And what is your badge number again?
2069.
2069?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service, officer.
The rule of law matters in all kinds of different ways. It's the foundation of what gives people the confidence to be able to speak their minds, for instance, knowing what the rules are in advance and they won't be punished by the government for what they say. And what we see when we look around the world today is that countries that have the rule of law tend to be richer and freer than countries that don't.
The constitutional principle of the rule of law means that we live under known and settled laws that were established in a system that is open for all to see. Like many constitutional principles, many take this idea for granted. we know that our laws are stable and that the rules of the game cannot just suddenly change. As John Adams said in 1776, the true idea of a republic is an empire of laws and not of men. Rules cannot be discarded or laws enacted on one person's whim unless established legal processes are followed.
One of the things that's most interesting about the rule of law is that as that has emerged in history, it is primarily a protection for the ordinary person. The rich and powerful have always had the ability, in some sense, to be able to manipulate the government for their own ends or find the loopholes in the law to protect themselves and that sort of thing. It's the common person, the person who doesn't hire the lobbyist, who doesn't have the ability to influence the government, that benefits most when the government protects the rule of law.
A look back at the way the Constitution was framed and ratified shows how committed Americans were to the rule of law. After flaws in the Articles of Confederation were identified, 12 of the 13 states sent duly appointed delegates.
All right, sir. Maybe you can just step over here because I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Read you your citation. Right now, you're going to get a Class C citation, okay?
Yeah.
The offense is crossing where prohibited. So you can't cross there. It's like if you were crossing Montwood right then and there without the crosswalk. You understand that? Okay. Your court date is going to be December 17th, 2018, which is this year, between the hours of 7-11 or 1 to 3 at 9600 Dyer. Do you know where that's at?
I can find it.
Yeah, just Google it and you'll find it there. Okay? So the only thing I need you to do is signing on top. You're promising you are going to appear in court in this date. It's not an admission of guilt. So if you choose to fight it, you can fight it. Okay? Do you have any questions?
No, not
Okay. I mean, I don't mind recording, sir, but I'll tell you right now, if you're not following the law, then we're going to stop it. Okay? It's for your safety and our safety as well.
Yeah, but you don't have to give me this.
I don't have to? I mean,
you have the choice.
I do.
Yeah.
I do have the choice. So I chose to give you one. All right. Do you have any other questions, sir? So again, if you're going to record us doing traffic stops, just, follow the law and don't cross the street where you're not supposed to. All right, sir. Just get ahead. Just go step on the sidewalk and you can record us or go home. Okay?
Individual rights and liberties are both in the U.S. Constitution and the Texas Constitution. Additional rights afforded to you as a Texas citizen are found in the Code of Criminal Procedure. In other words, the Code of Criminal Procedure rights complement the U.S. and Texas Constitution and in some cases afford more protection. The Code of Criminal Procedure states, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall have a speedy public trial. It also states, trial will be by an impartial jury.
This is the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read the first section. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Any person within its jurisdiction cannot be denied the equal protection of its laws. To me, the 14th Amendment, especially this idea of equal protection under the law, is the whole enchilada for me. First of all, when you talk about protection, that implies that there must be a harm someplace that you're trying to protect someone from. That opens the door to have a whole discussion about reality. A lot of this stuff floats above reality. It's all abstract principle. But to have equal protection under the law means that you're going to have some permission for some activism from the government. You're going to have some permission to talk about inequality, unequal treatment, unfair treatment for they were contemplating African Americans, but they say everybody. So it doesn't say, equal protection under the law unless you're a lesbian. It's not what it says. It doesn't say equal protection under the law unless you're African American. It's not what it says. It says if you're in the jurisdiction, you get equal protection under the law. That's radical. 10,000 years of human history, that's radical. And I think it's very, very important that we uphold the 14th Amendment. We talk about the First Amendment, we talk about the Second Amendment, we talk about sometimes the Fifth Amendment, but we don't talk about the 14th Amendment enough. Equal protection under the law.
We know from an early age that changing the rules in the middle of the game isn't allowed. The Code of Criminal Procedure adheres to the same concept, that the rules can't be changed during a criminal prosecution. Due course of law is basically the same concept as due process. It refers to procedural law. Procedural law is the process by which one is found guilty of a crime. The end goal of the Code of Criminal Procedure is that this procedural law be fair and consistent for all people. The Code of Criminal Procedure states, no citizen of the state shall be deprived of life. No citizen of the state shall be deprived of liberty. No citizen of the state shall be deprived of property. This includes your house and your possessions. No citizen of the state shall be deprived of privileges. No citizen of the state shall be disenfranchised. Disenfranchised means prevented from participating in the government. An example are Jim Crow laws that were passed in the 20th century designed to disenfranchise African Americans. None of these shall be taken away except by due course of law of the land. No one can be deprived of anything without due process of law. There must be a hearing, a trial, or a formal procedure for any of these things to be taken away. They can't be taken away arbitrarily. Finally, the formal procedure we use must be fair and consistent for all persons.